Hey guys, welcome back to In My Beauty Bag, the beauty of business with balance. I'm your host, Yamina Childress, mom, mindfulness coach, and founder of Yanni Beauty, Contractor AI, and the lead business consultant at Integral Star Consulting. I am so happy to be here again today and talk to you all about scaling your business and maybe how scaling your business may not be the best thing for you today. Before we get started, I just want you to take a moment to ground yourself. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. I love to do a little mindful moment because I think that when we have to sit down, a lot of us don't have the patience that we used to have, but I want everybody to listening to this to sit down and be able to really consume the information. And so again, what we're talking about today is about scaling businesses and the hidden cost of scaling. In the last episode, we talked about systems and automation and how having the right systems in place will help you scale your business, right? Being able to automate some of your tasks like emails or marketing, or being able to delegate those tasks with the different processes that you have in your business. Those things help you scale and they help you prepare for tomorrow. And so that's why it's always best to start your processes as soon as possible, sooner rather than later, right? You don't have to have a team of 50 to start your processes. You should start them now. And here's why. So, some of the misconceptions is if I scale my business, everything will get easier. But the reality is, scale equals more complexity, more expenses, and oftentimes more stress if you're not prepared with those systems in place, right? So, today's episode, we're going to cover the financial, operational, and emotional costs of growth, and then how to prepare for scaling the right way so that you can have a successful scale in your business. So, more revenue doesn't always mean more profits. That's one. Let's talk about the financials of it all. Many businesses grow their revenue, but actually make less in profits. And that's because of higher expenses, right? So, for example, a business making 200K, they are profiting $100,000. But then there may be a business that's making $500,000 but profiting only $50,000. And here's why. As you scale, you need more things, more people, more processes in place. So some of those hidden costs that entrepreneurs may face as they scale and will face as they scale, first of all, are payroll and hiring, right? You need more people. I say this time and time again, there's no such thing as a self-made millionaire, right? A self-made billionaire. At some point, you had people in place to help you get there. So what does that mean for your business? It means more salaries, more benefits, maybe more training costs. And then you think about technology and software. Because you're growing your business, you're scaling your business from, you know, 5 people and now you have 100 employees. You're going to need new systems in place to account for all of the new people. You're going to need better automation tools. You're going to need that CRM that we talked about. You're likely going to need cybersecurity. You're going to need cloud storage. It could be a host of things. And when I talk about this, I always talk about it from the perspective of both service-based and product-based businesses. So think about if you are a service-based business, and maybe you keep your client's information on your computer system, and it's working well with your regular Wi-Fi, right? But as you scale and you get more clients, and security becomes more an issue, you have to invest in some of those personal servers, more cybersecurity. Or if you have a website for your products, and maybe you're starting on a basic hosting plan, but now you're scaling, so now you have to have some more personalized experiences, a bigger hosting plan. And so even technology and software will increase. Your legal and compliance will increase. The bigger the business, the more regulations you'll likely have to follow. You'll definitely want to do things like have trademarks in place, patents if you need it, whatever you need to protect your product or service and your brand. And you'll need contracts, right? And maybe more personalized contracts. Maybe as a small business, you can get away with a template, right? And so, like, for instance, Contractor AI, we help entrepreneurs create those basic legal contracts that they need. But as you scale, you may need something that is a lot more in depth, and you need a legal team to redline it and read it and review all of these things. And so that's extra cost. You may need more inventory and supplies. When you're a product based business, the more sales equals more stock, right? And so maybe when you started out, you could stock 100 of one SKU, 100 pieces of one product. But now that you're scaling, and you're selling 1 million of those products, you also need to have 1 million pieces of stock, right? And so that's going to be more money. You may need to now put the 1 million pieces into a warehouse, because now your home office or your home storage can't store it. And so now you have warehousing costs, and with those warehousing costs, now you have logistics costs, right? Because now someone has to pick, pack, and ship your products to your consumers, right? And so those lead to increased costs. And then, of course, marketing and advertising. So I know, different people have different percentages that they say that you should spend on marketing and advertising. But let's say it's 10%, right? So your 10% of $100,000 is going to be very different than your 10% of $1 million. And so you may see that you are spending more on advertising, on content creation, on branding costs, right? You're trying to do better at that, and so you're spending more money. So one of the things I hear a lot being in the beauty industry, and even in, I'm really new into tech, and so even into that, you see a startup who has raised funds, right? Let's say you saw a tech startup that raised $1 million even before they really had the full product ready, right? And so they use that money to build out that product and to start really growing and scaling their operations. But see, what they didn't account for, with that money, because the first money, somebody invested in them, and so they were able to spend that and not really have a loss, because it was money that was invested into their ideas. But as things grew, and they were banking on actual funds from customers or clients, they started to realize there was a delay in cash flow. And so, because of the delay in cash flow, that kind of user experience went down, or they weren't able to pay things on time, different reasons. And so it's almost setting them up for failure, because they grew really quickly, because they had good investments and grew really quickly, but then didn't account for all of the expenses they needed to scale, because they grew so quickly. They did a lot of more advertising, they built out more tools, but then they didn't account for all of these things, and their scale failed. And a lot of, new startups will go out of business as quick as they come in, and that's because they didn't give themselves time to actually plan for their scale. And then outside of the financial costs of scaling, there are also operational costs and operational strains of growth. For one, increased demand equals increased complexity. So when your business grows, everything is going to get harder to manage, especially by yourself, especially by a very small team, because you'll have more customer service requests. So you have to have someone, on emails or calls throughout an entire workday. Let's say you have products. So now you have, because you're selling more, you're likely to have more returns. So now you have to process more returns, more refunds. If you have, a service, because you're getting more clients, it may be hard to fulfill all of those client requests if it's just you or a small team. And so now you have to build out, a team to fulfill those requests. And then you can get into the bottlenecks. And so I'm going to give you 3 of the most common scaling bottlenecks when it comes to operations. And so, one, supply chain issues. Product-based businesses or even service-based businesses that need a particular product. Can your vendors keep up, right? So you're growing and you're growing quickly, you're scaling, but the vendors that you work with, are they scaling as fast? Can they keep up with your new demand? Because we know that delays in the supply chain hurt the customer and it hurts their trust. And so if at first you were delivering a product in 3 business days, but then you found out that the vendor couldn't keep up, manufacturing is taking longer. Now you have a customer order a product, things are out of stock, and now people are waiting 2 weeks. That is going to harm the customer's trust in your brand, right? And so then you start losing customers. Number 2 is you may have a customer service overload. The more customers likely equals more complaints. So do you have enough support staff? So I know that you see, let's say you Googled a business, right? A business with 20 reviews may have 5-star raving reviews because they don't have a lot of reviews there. But then you see a business that has 5,000 reviews. You're going to see a lot more customer complaints because it's just volume, right? It's just volume. And you're going to need that support staff to help you resolve those customer complaints. And then the third one is team dynamics and leadership challenges. Growth will expose weak leadership and the bad hires. So have you as the leader taken on the training, receive the coaching that you need in order to grow as a leader? Because your leadership skills now are going to be very different than the leadership skills you need when you scale into a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar business, right? It's going to be very different. And then it's also going to show any weak hires. Are you now hiring the right people because you're bringing new people on? Are they the right hires? Is the training adequate to make sure those new hires can keep up with the business and really help the business grow and pay their wages? I will tell you, hiring, when we first started hiring at Yanni Beauty a few years ago, it was a struggle to really find those new hires that really understood the business and could really help us grow and not just be there. But then one thing we had to learn is that it was us as well. We really had to have a better, system and operational flow of the questions that we ask, the training, the onboarding, right? And so it's going to take a different version of you as you scale your business. Here's an example. There is a beauty brand that struggled with fulfillment. So this skincare brand went viral on TikTok. And it was a skincare brand. They made products out of their home, really cute products, and they were selling them to just customers via social media. One particular, video went viral, and so they started to see the sales pour in. They sold out, but then didn't have enough stock or customer service reps to help them with that growth, right? Because now they were making this by hand, but didn't really have a system in place that what happens when we sell out? Should we, put this on hold? First of all, manage our stock and inventory, right? They weren't doing that, and so they let it sell out. And then they're making it by themselves. Nothing in place to, if I start to sell more, how much could I actually make alone? Do I need a professional manufacturer? Do I need customer service to now handle all of these new customers? They didn't. And so that's why the best thing that you can do, I know we all want to get to that multi-million, billion-dollar business, right? But the best thing that you can do for yourself is to scale in phases. It is not always the best idea to start a business and to scale overnight. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm sure it's an amazing feeling. But then you start to see that it wasn't so great, and then a lot of businesses fail because they didn't have any of the financial, any of the operational systems in place in order to keep up with that scale. And so it's best to scale in phases so that you are growing with your business, your operations, your financial planning is growing with your business, and so is your team. And then on top of the operations, on top of the financial thing, there is the mental and emotional toll of scaling. And so I told you I was a mindfulness coach, and I actually coach entrepreneurs and small business owners with their mindset and really taking care of themselves as leaders, because as leaders we do tend to go through a lot of things, and it can be a very lonely place, especially if most of our friends, most of our family members are not entrepreneurs or business owners. A lot of times they can't really understand, and so my goal is to always help them care for themselves first. And one of the reasons is because business takes an emotional and mental toll on you if you let it, and if you're scaling too fast to handle it. So the pressure of running a bigger business means that more people are depending on you. You are the founder, you are the executive, you are the leader of the company. And so your employees, your customers, your partners, stakeholders, if you have investors, they're all looking to you to see what is going to happen and for you to make sound decisions for the business. You may experience a lot more of those hard decisions that you have to make as a leader, such as laying off employees. I know as small business owners, we're normally in the community and we're hiring people in the community, so it's hard to have to fire them. You have to learn a lot about your budget. You have to learn a lot about crisis management. A part of my consulting is I do mediation and conflict resolution, and I help entrepreneurs and small businesses do that within their businesses. So to either build out their own conflict resolution or crisis management, or just be the person who handles it. but you will find yourself having, more conflicts. And so that can take a toll on you as a person. And then your work life balance can disappear if you're not careful. I know people say there's no such thing as work life balance, but I would challenge them to say they just are not good at it, right? Of course, there are times where something takes priority over something else, but it shouldn't be to the point where it just disappears altogether, right? And it also shouldn't be to the point where you are neglecting something in your life. So, for instance, if you're a parent and you're a business owner, it's not wise to neglect your children for your business, right? Um, you have to find that balance. And a lot of that time, we talked about this in earlier episodes, is to really find, um, to balance your time, learn how to put work down at a certain time, to delegate, automate. All of these different things that you'll do in your business will help you maintain that balance, right? Because if you have the right systems in place, the right delegations, the right team members, the right automations, all of these things, it will help you stop working at, after your 8 hours. And then you can spend time with your loved ones, right? You can do things that you enjoy. And so I want you to understand it's available to you. You just have to prioritize it and not get so stuck in the business or the business of growing and scaling that you start to neglect your life outside of your business. Some of the emotional pitfalls that we see are burnout, right? So you start to feel overwhelmed. You start to lose passion for your business because you are just burnt out. You are just over it, and your business is no longer fun. It's no longer your baby, and you're over it. But the thing is, it's your business, and it still needs you, right? And until you exit, it still needs you. And so, caring for yourself helps you, keep the love and keep the momentum in your business and not burn out. You may have success guilt. You may feel bad for making tough business decisions. Again, you may feel bad that you have to fire, someone that you brought in at the beginning, or you may have to cut a part of your business that you really truly enjoyed, but then you find that it didn't really make financial sense for the business. And so you have to make those hard decisions, and then you start to really feel guilty about it. And then you also may come to the pitfall of imposter syndrome. And we also talked about that, thinking you truly don't deserve the growth, that you're not smart enough, you're not educated enough, you're not talented enough, right? But you are, because you got here. You saw a problem, you found a solution, you created a business around that. And you're here, you're capable. But you may get imposter syndrome. And so those are some of the pitfalls that you may have as you scale your business. So in order to scale without losing yourself, it's one, I want you to set boundaries. Again, don't try to do everything by yourself. You cannot scale a business by yourself. It's just the truth. Even if you're consulted, even if you're in service, you can service so many clients, but you cannot scale that clientele because it's only one of you. And so I want to make sure that you are bringing in the team. Even if you need to bring in contractors before W-2 employees, bring in a team of people to help you manage the business and grow within the business so that you don't do everything yourself. I want you to delegate and trust your team, right? So when you bring in these people, let them do what you hired them to do. Let go of the control that you have over your business. I know a lot of people say their business is their babies. I've said it before too. But in order to scale, you're going to have to let that go so that you can scale effectively. You've hired them to do a job. You trusted that they could do it when you hired them. And so now it's time to let them go ahead and do it. And then I want you to have a support system. So whether that's a mentor, therapist, a consultant, a coach, other entrepreneurs who understand your journey. Surround yourself with that. One thing as a business coach and consultant that I see all the time is business owners, entrepreneurs thinking that they don't need a coach or a mentor or something like that. But in every stage that we're going to, it's new to us, right? And so it's always great to be surrounded by people who's been there and done that, right? And so that's the beauty of it. And then while you're in whatever stage you are in your business, having other entrepreneurs around you who can understand is always good, because again, we know that entrepreneurship can be a lonely journey, especially when the people around you don't really understand your day to day. So, one of the examples of an entrepreneur who stepped back for balance was a business owner who either paused growth to fix an internal issue, right? So, this business owner realized, wait, things are moving too quickly. Things are not in place. I am not mentally there. Operations is not there. Finances are not there. So they took a step back, they paused that growth and said, hold on, wait. We have to fix these internal issues first, because if we don't, we are setting the business up for failure, and it's not going to be a end. The customer's experience will not be what we want it to be. And so it's really good to make that decision to say, wait, pause, let's get it together before we grow. Or they've pivoted a business model that better suited their lifestyle. One thing I learned is that businesses can pivot. Now, I have had to make some real pivoting decisions in Yanni Beauty. First of all, it started as a hobby years ago, but when it became a full-on business, it was right at the height of COVID. And so during that time, we were all making real-time adjustments. And so I had to pivot Yanni Beauty many times to make it work for the business, but also to make it work for myself. Like, I'm a mom, I homeschool, I enjoy being with my family. And even though I enjoy building a business, I had to make the business work for me, right? And my lifestyle. Because if we are doing, especially building a business for the freedom and the flexibility, it only works if we base it off of our needs versus what people expect. So your business doesn't have to look like everyone else's. So before we leave, let's go through some of the takeaways. First of all, scaling isn't about growing bigger. It's about growing smarter, right? It's not bigger, it's smarter. Because remember, in the beginning, you can be a $200,000 business making $100,000, or you can be a $500,000 business making $50,000. Where do you want to be, right? And we mean profit wise. Where do you want to be? We've talked about this in past episodes. Revenue doesn't matter if the profits aren't there. I want to challenge you to audit your business today, or even, over the next week. And I know I do this each time. Today, over the next 7 days, I want you to audit your business. I want you to ask yourself what the biggest risk areas are if you scale right now. So, what is the biggest risk that you will encounter if you scale today? If you became an overnight sensation, you went viral, you got into the right media, the right person heard about you, and you started to scale overnight, what would be your biggest risk area? And once you've identified that, start there to make sure that you have the people and the systems in place, that it does not become a hindrance on your business, but instead it becomes something positive, and it allows you to scale with art, right? A masterpiece. That's what you want to do. And then you can go back after you've identified that particular pain point in your business. then you can go throughout your business and find those areas that will be risky, right? Is your, maybe you find that you don't have the proper budgeting, in place, maybe software or people. Maybe you realize you don't have enough people to handle customer service. Maybe you don't have the right amount of inventory. So find that thing and start to work on it now. So when you do get the opportunity to scale bigger, better, and faster, then you know that you've done it smarter. So that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed us talking about the pitfalls of scaling, but also learning the things that you can do in order to avoid those pitfalls. So I want you to, before you go, to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it at. I want you to share the podcast with your fellow entrepreneur friends. Leave some comments, reviews, and if you are, on Spotify, if you are on YouTube, I want you to engage with me. I'd love to read your comments. Tell me what's working, what's not working, what you want to see in the future. So I want to thank you all again for having this 30 minutes with me as we talked about business and in my beauty bag. Again, I'm your host, Yamina. I hope this resonated with you, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.